The cry sliced through the rain. Sharp, frantic, and close. Ranger Rohan broke through the undergrowth, boots splashing in the rising puddles. The jungle trembled beneath the storm. Every flash of lightning turned the world silver. Every thunderclap rolled like cannon fire. Then he saw it. A leopard cub, no bigger than a house cat, thrashing in the mud. A wire snare coiled around its paw, cutting deep, blood mingling with rainwater. Rohan dropped to his knees. "Hold on, little one." The cub's chest rose and fell too fast, eyes wide with terror. He reached for his cutter, heart hammering. Every instinct told him to hurry, not just for the cub's sake, but his own. Because if the cub was here, the mother wasn't far. And the storm was masking everything, even the sound of her approach. Poachers had been spotted near this ridge 2 nights ago, men desperate enough to hunt under lightning. Rohan knew their snares well, thin, cruel, made to vanish in mud. He worked by touch, kneeling in sludge that stank of rust and decay. The wire was twisted through a root, biting into flesh. "Easy now," he whispered, glancing over his shoulder. Nothing but darkness. Yet the forest felt crowded, like eyes hidden between the trees. The cub whimpered. He froze, pulse in his ears. The growl that answered wasn't far. Low, deep, vibrating through the storm itself. Rohan didn't look up. He couldn't. Leopards didn't see the difference between a poacher clearing his trap and a ranger setting her cub free. He sliced another strand, the sound lost under thunder. "Almost there," he muttered, working fast. The wind shifted, carrying the scent of wet fur. She was close. Every second counted now. Between rescue and death, 1 heartbeat apart. The mud clung to his boots as he crouched lower. Lightning split the sky, turning the snare's metal into a flash of white fire. The cub thrashed weakly, its small body slick with rain, paws flailing helplessly in the muck. Each cry cut through the storm like glass. "Easy," Rohan murmured, but his own voice shook. He grabbed the wire with one hand, cutters in the other. The metal was cold and biting, slicing through the damp fabric of his gloves until he felt the sting on his palm. He barely noticed. Thunder boomed overhead, rolling through the trees. Behind him came another sound, lower, heavier, the unmistakable growl of something large moving through the dark. His pulse spiked. "Steady. I'm almost done," he whispered, forcing calm into his voice though his breath came fast. He could feel her now, a weight in the air so dense it bent the silence between thunderclaps. Every instinct screamed to turn to look. He didn't. Another cut. The wire resisted, twisting tighter as if alive. His fingers slipped in the rain. The cub cried out again, high, sharp, desperate. The growl deepened, a rumble that made the ground vibrate beneath him. "Come on," he hissed through gritted teeth. "Come on." He repositioned the cutters, every motion deliberate. Rainwater dripped from his chin, mingling with blood. One last squeeze. The wire snapped. The cub jerked, tumbling into the mud, sides heaving with rapid, shallow breaths. Rohan dropped the cutters and raised his hands, chest heaving, mud streaked across his arms. The jungle fell into stillness. Then the darkness moved. From the treeline, the leopard stepped into the clearing, rain cascading down her coat in silver rivers. Her muscles rippled under spotted gold, eyes burning through the stormlight. Rohan froze. The cub whimpered weakly. In this moment she would decide whether he lived or died. The leopard's gaze flicked from the man to the child, her growl fading into silence. She stepped forward. Rohan's lungs locked. She brushed past him, close enough that the warmth of her flank bled through his soaked clothes. Crouching beside her cub, she licked its wound once, twice, slow, deliberate, certain. The cub shivered, then lifted its head. The leopard turned, met Rohan's eyes. No roar. No charge. Only a look, raw, golden, impossible to mistake. Then she took her cub in her jaws and vanished into the trees, leaving only the roar of the storm. Rohan exhaled, knees buckling, breath trembling like the air itself. He thought it was over. He was wrong. The storm moved east, but thunder still rolled across the valley. Rohan radioed camp, voice hoarse. Cub freed. Mother retrieved. All clear. Copy that, came the reply through static. He was about to pack his gear when the first gunshot cracked through the air. He ducked instinctively, scanning the trailing. 2 more shots followed, closer. Then voices, rough, hurried, cutting through the rain. Poachers, they were back. Rohan's chest tightened. He slid behind a tree, hand on his tranq pistol. A shadow flickered in the distance, flashlights slicing through rain. Spread out. Check the traps. One man shouted. Another. I saw the ranger's light. Over there. Rohan cursed silently. If they found him, it was over. He moved slowly, crouched low, boots soundless in the mud. A branch snapped behind him. He turned and froze. The leopard. She stood barely 10 meters away, tail twitching, eyes locked on him, but not in warning. Another shot split the air. The bullet struck a tree trunk nearby, sending bark flying. The leopard snarled, a sound so powerful it ripped through the storm. The men shouted, stumbling backward. One raised his rifle. Before he could fire, she charged. A blur of gold and fury tore through the clearing. The poachers scattered, crashing through the undergrowth, their lights vanishing one by one. The jungle swallowed their screams. Then silence, except for the rain. Rohan stood motionless, chest heaving. The leopard reappeared at the edge of the clearing, her sides heaving, water dripping from her coat. She looked at him once more, not with anger, but with something deeper. Acknowledgement. Then she vanished again, fading into the trees like smoke. Rohan stared after her, rain washing blood from his hand. Predator and protector, he thought. Maybe they weren't so different after all. Morning came gray and heavy. The forest steamed, alive again. Rohan stood by the riverbank, watching the water carry leaves downstream. The storm had stripped the world bare. No sound of gunfire now, only birds returning to sing above the mist. He found the broken snare half buried in the mud, its metal rusting already. He kicked it into the river and watched it sink. You saved me too, didn't you? He said quietly. The forest didn't answer, but somewhere far off came a single roar, low, steady, rolling across the valley like thunder remembered. He smiled. You're welcome. Back at camp, the others listened in stunned silence as he told the story. No one spoke for a long time after. Finally, one ranger whispered, So, she protected you? Rohan nodded. We protected each other. And that was the only record he ever filed.